9773.
I would like to remind everyone, if they please be kind enough to silence your cell phones, if you would please, or put them on airplane mode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to call the regular meeting of the Madison County Board of County Commissioners for July the 11th, 2017 to order. Let us all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Thank you. We have the agenda presented. We do need to have one addition to the agenda. It will be item F under section 8, the Madison County Manager's Report, and it is the update and resolution for the stream restoration project at Beach Glen. So the chair will move that we add that to the agenda. Second by Commissioner Brigman. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Well, would I enter a motion to approve the amended agenda? Motion by Commissioner Brigman. Second by Commissioner Rice. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The agenda for this evening is approved. Let us now look at the minutes for June 13. Are there any additions or revisions?
Mr. Chair, I move that the June 13th minutes be approved as submitted.
Motion by Commissioner Wechtel, second by Commissioner Rice to approve them as presented. Any questions or comment? All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Now the minutes of the June 27th, 2017 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that item number 3 be restated to more accurately reflect what took place. I'm afraid as written, it sounds as if we accepted Mission's offer, which was a 4% increase, but we discussed, and the best of my recollection, we agreed to make a counteroffer at a 2% increase versus the 4% Mission requested. So I would move that the minutes be approved with that correction to better state item 3.
Okay. More
accurately state item 3.
Okay. We have any discussion or comments relative to that? We have the motion to amend to 2% as recommended by Commissioner Wechtel. Do we have a second to that? Second by Commissioner Rice. Any other revisions or discussions? All those approving the June 27th amended minutes, please raise your right hand. All right. We now have come to the public comment section of the meeting, and no one has requested to speak. So we will now, next on the agenda is Ms. Sallie Klipp.
Am I good?
Should be. Now, please speak into it so otherwise it won't stream. Okay.
Are we all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and talk with you again. When I came before you several months ago, I had a 3-minute talk all prepared. Trouble is, I opted to begin with an introduction to avoid any questions about my past Madison County commitments, which added some time. I do apologize for going too long. Seeking balance, I will limit my talk this evening to under 3 minutes. Beacon of Hope is a direct hunger relief service providing nutritious food to Madison County. Beacon of Hope Services has purchased 3 acres of land accessing Highway 213 with the intention of building a community center, focusing on providing food for those in need. The announcing future home sign is now in place. Currently, Beacon of Hope is supporting over 475 families, 1,046 Madison County residents a month. For some, this is truly life-saving. This Beacon of Hope food is purchased through Manna Food Bank as well as donated by local farms, hunters, community members, and local groceries. Beyond food, Beacon of Hope supports numerous other concerns for Madison County. Free health screenings for anyone, with the thanks of the Madison County Health Department, on Mondays has proven to be life-changing truly for several people. Weekly box truck loads of food from Publix, Walmart, and Audi stores are picked up once a week. Once a week, Madison County Community Services, they pick up loads of breads and produce to give to their patrons at the nutrition sites. Our biggest effort to help seniors in Madison County is conducting a federal food program, providing a second source of food for residents over 60 years of age. People ask why a food pantry also provides a thrift store. Being donation bound, every $1 made will buy $6 worth of food. Imagine the opportunity to purchase quality furniture, home goods, and clothes at very limited prices. As needed, emergency assistance can also be offered to Madison County residents through the thrift store. We all know people who needed help from Beacon of Hope for a time. Often we hear, I don't know what I would have done. We have all been hungry. However, we have not known hunger. This is the mission of Beacon of Hope, fighting hunger in Madison County. Thank you for letting me talk to you. You all have a flyer about just some of the facts and figures about Beacon of Hope, and I thank you.
Thank you, Sallie. And thank all the others who work with and support Beacon of Hope. Ms. D.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening I've come before you. I'm still working a little bit over at Transportation to clean up a few things with the state. And this evening we're going to talk a little bit about the Madison County Transportation Authority drug and alcohol policy. This is something that you have reviewed before. I updated it in June of this year. There was some language that the state was requiring that we needed to change a little bit and also add some of their new policies. We basically already followed the policy. We had random drug testing, education, pre-employment testing, suspicion testing, and all that kind of stuff that goes with the drug and alcohol policy. It's one that's been in place. We've just updated it. We need to, like we've been together before, it needs to be signed. I need to get it into the minutes, and I need it approved today. That's what I'm requesting.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Laws, have you reviewed this?
It's appropriate.
Okay.
It's state mandated policy, and they pretty well tell us what has to go in. We don't have much choice beyond that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Forrest, any additional comments? All right. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the updated Madison County Transportation Authority drug and alcohol policy.
I move that we accept the drug and alcohol policy for the transportation, Madison County Transportation,
All right.
as revised June 13th, 2017.
Motion by Commissioner Freeman,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please let it be known by raising your right hand. Dee, thank you again.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank your department for all they do.
I will.
Thank you.
Mr. Donny Laws.
Mr. Gilliam called me this afternoon and I missed his phone call and asked him if it was important, and a minute ago he said, "You'll find out." I'm wondering. He's got this policy that everything has to be into in 10 days so we can send it out to you. And unfortunately, I sent you the tax update Friday afternoon by email. So I'll be like everybody else and I'll comply with Mr. Gilliam's mandates and get those to them from henceforth. But the big item on your update this month is we have obtained their judgment on the breakaway development, which has authorized us to proceed with the sale. The sale has been scheduled for August 1st. You should see it in the Madison newspaper. I don't know how long it is. They sent it to us, but it has 60 parcels of land in it that'll be sold. It's their largest tax delinquency. Their updated delinquency showed $270,000 of outstanding taxes. I don't know what interest there'll be in it, but you're welcome to come and observe and see what happens. But that is set for August the 1st. So you will get an update at your August meeting as to how that transpired. We did have some sales that occurred on June the 26th. Those are listed there. The county acquired one of the tracts of land, which is another lot up on Wolf Mountain. Number 2, the Long Cross Properties was a nice tract of land, I believe in the Little Pine subdivision. Outstanding taxes on it were about $38,000. We had a bidder. We'd take out, the bid was sufficient to cover all the cost and the taxes. We'll be closing on that this week. KR Investors and Founders Ridge, that sale actually had to be postponed to get an amended judgment. There's about $17,000 of outstanding taxes in it. The same person who was interested in the Long Cross lot was interested in this lot. So I foresee when that does come to sale, they'll have a sale on that one. And that should probably occur in August. You have the listing of what we received, what was paid. And we're holding pretty good around the $60,000 range each month. So we had 8 payments totaling $58,342.06. So it's a pretty good start for, well, I guess that's the end of, most of that will come in at the end of last year's fiscal year. So that should bump us up a little bit more. I know there's been an inquiry for me to update this to give a running total, and I will include that in next month. You started this inquiry and this tax report, I believe, last April, and we started giving these reports. So what I can, and starting next month, I will give you what total amount of taxes that we have collected through your effort to start collecting taxes. Forrest gives you somewhat of an update for the fiscal year, but I can take his numbers and give you a running total. My guess is probably for the 12, 13, 14, nearly 15 months we've done this, we should be tad over $1 million of collected taxes. It's a pretty good effort.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
Gentlemen?
No questions.
Donnie, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hollars?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Oh,
The first thing I have for you today is the June 2017 financial report, as well as a list of the checks and vendors that were paid last month.
I like the fact that you are highlighting some of these.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's for my benefit as much as for yours, so.
I've got a question on one of them, Rhea. Is the one for the Hot Springs wastewater program?
Uh-huh.
Was that is that a pass through? Is that the Pigeon River Fund grant? That
Don't
Just-
know off my top of my head, but Sarah's shaking yes, so I'm
all right.
I'm going with her and saying yes.
Very good. Thank you.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the June 2017 financial report as presented.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Rice, second by Commissioner Brigman. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right. Budget Amendment 1.
Yes, I have the very first budget amendment for the 2018 fiscal year for you.
Appears to be two items. Primarily the library and then 911. Any questions, gentlemen?
The library one, just for clarification, that's obvious. That's the grant we got last month.
Yeah,
Correct.
the big credit is, yeah.
Excellent.
Now we have a copy of the two checks attached.
Okay.
Move budget amendment 1 be approved as submitted.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Bechtel, second by Commissioner Brigman. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
And the final thing I have is the June 2017 tax releases and refunds for your review.
That's how they all operate right there.
That is a significant improvement. Yes. For those of you who cannot see the form, these forms historically have had a lot of names and numbers on them. There are 3. Okay, so let's do a lot of work by a lot of people to keep that more current and up to speed and all of that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I move that the June 2017 refunds for July 2017 be approved.
Okay, for the June 2017 tax releases and refunds,
Yes.
Commissioner Brigman, motion. Second by Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Forrest.
Commissioners, you have been handed to you the year-end update on prior year's property taxes collected versus what was budgeted. And I know you've heard me say this, and you all have said this repeatedly over the past few years, but one of the ways we end the year with a surplus is by conservatively estimating revenues and expenses. So this is an example of being cautious about how much we budgeted for prior year's taxes and how much we collected. So if you will look at the chart, it starts in 2011, 2012, and ends in 16, 17. This year we had budgeted $715,000 for the prior year's taxes. That's taxes owed from years before the current bills that went out. So prior to 2016, we had budgeted $715,000 in revenue from all of those years combined. And at year end, we brought in $836,584, which is $121,584 over budget. So it's very good work on the part of our tax office employees, our county attorney, and it's good budgeting. Not only is it the highest number actually collected that's reflected on this sheet, don't know what the numbers were in prior years, but I imagine probably not higher because property over the years is a different county. But the key is what we budgeted has been appropriate. If you look at 2013, 2014, which is the year when a budget was created that unrealistically projected 1.2 million in revenue, we brought in good money, record-setting money, but it wasn't near close enough. Brought in 782 that year, which was $415,000 short. After coming $415,000 short, a budget was proposed at that time to increase the projection to 1.4 million. So next year we came in $700,000 short. So we have tried to back off of that because that's the absolute opposite approach that we should use to budgeting. And we made progress last year. First budget that this board was able to adopt, and ended with a smaller hole, but we finally broken even, and this year we've lowered that number even more. But it's good that we forecast conservatively and beat that, because that's $121,000 to our county that can go toward our fund balance and our savings and other projects in the county. So it's a very good move in that direction. On a couple of other updates, the rock building in Mars Hill, a little over a month ago, you all accepted an initial offer on that just to get the ball rolling and get that building in the newspaper to advertise for upset bids. Background before you got there, of course, was the county got that building from the school system in 2002, 2003. It's going to be used as a community center. The group that was pushing that, one of the key people there, was no longer able to do it. They passed away. The others in the group sent a letter in 2012 saying that they wanted to give it back to the county. Basically, they weren't going to pursue that option. So for the last 5 years, the building has had nothing going on there. And there's been a discussion with the school system. We sent a letter about 2 years ago to the Board of Education offering to transfer that building to them to do what they needed with it. There was never an official reaction to that. And as it sat there and you all have tried to figure out what to do with it, knowing there's not a ton of county money to put into the building, you all did decide to see what offers there would be out there in an effort to try and save the building. So that first offer came in. It has been upset. We currently have a $70,000 upset bid that was advertised in the newsletter today. There will be a 10-day period for somebody to upset that by 5%. And this process could go on for months. Regarding the use for the building, it has to go through the town of Mars Hill's zoning restrictions, understandably. So if at the end of what's hopefully a long bidding war, at that point, if you all are comfortable with that final offer, there will be a 90-day due diligence period for whoever that person is to go through the zoning process to look at anything else they want to look at with the building. So it's going to be a lengthy process, but it's one that's really trying to get the building in the hands of someone who can put the money into it and fix it up.
Just a point of interest there, you might explain to the audience how much it cost to have to tear that building down, the county, how much it would cost. Do you remember what the engineers quoted on that or whatever? It's $150,000 plus.
I want to say
Something like that.
So, you know, that's one reason we want to save that building, because it's in good shape and it's a landmark. That's two reasons. But, you know, that'd be a big expense to the county to tear that building down. And there's no reason to do that.
And the estimates on fixing it up, which fluctuate depending on what you want to do with it. But the schools looked at it to make it a school use and to follow historic preservation standards, which they might have to do. But the biggest issue there is fire protection, those sorts of things. They're looking at well over $1 million put into that building. So trying to figure out a way to deal with this because the longer it sits there, it's a safety issue while it's there, and it will only get worse as the building sits vacant. So hopefully we'll see some resolution in the next several months there. The state budget was, I think final adoption was June 22nd. Just like our budget, only more complicated. There are things in there that you can love and items you can hate. But one very good item for Madison County is $3.5 million appropriated for the improvement and some shoulder widening and curve straightening of NC 208. As we know, trucks use that road. It's a detour route. That's how it was pushed by our legislators, really showing, and that's how we have expressed it to them. They called Sarah about 6 weeks ago. Representative President called saying, "What's your most important road project?" And of the projects already funded, where we have money behind them, we know they're going to happen, it's just a matter of time. That was really the next one. And that is a project that has not scored well under the state's strategic transportation investments formula that is very good for Charlotte and Raleigh and Asheville, but it's terrible for small county. And the only way you're going to get that, because we've scored it, we put it in there and it scores very low and it's never going to get anywhere. So this is the only way really to get it any time. So we're grateful to our legislators for doing that. It's 1 year of funding. By the time they're able to do anything, it's going to be toward the end of that year. $3.5 million is a good sum of money, but when you're talking about moving dirt, working on a road, it's not going to be a major change, but it can really improve some issues on that stretch of road that is used heavily. And it's really an important corridor for the county. Additionally, DOT, another little positive sign on tweaking the formula that they enacted in 2013 on road funding. They've set aside $50 million for high impact, relatively low cost projects such as economic development, access to industrial sites, turn lanes, specific issues that used to be out there where DOT could have some money to prioritize to an area. When they passed that law in 2013, they took everything out of there and put it all in this formula, and every project in the state competes based on number of cars, cost of construction, and local match, and it just really put rural communities at a disadvantage. So that money, $50 million again, even that, it's not a ton, but it's for smaller projects. That's a good move in the right direction. The governor had proposed, I think, $20 million for broadband projects, including the potential for Madison County to compete for a project that was specifically listed there. The final budget adopted by the General Assembly did not include those funds for broadband expansion, but we'll continue to pursue other avenues, and there's always next year. Relatively small appropriation, but it saves the state $500,000, but it's going to cause a problem. We've heard issues with litter off and on repeatedly. They've eliminated the inmate litter crews. So that's one of our key ways to deal with some of these roads, is to call corrections and see if they can take a crew out there and clean up the side of the road, at least get the worst of it. And that appears to be eliminated in the budget. Any questions about any of that? Okay.
Did you see the news release on Friday about the roughly $4 million DOT awarded for the two bridges on the
Yes.
251?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to replace
Yep.
the four bridges.
And they're replaced with one bridge.
Right.
And I think they've talked about having the road go straight toward Marshall if you're coming down the river now,
Yes.
instead of having the turn there, which probably what most people are doing. If you're coming down out of the river, you can turn right and then you won't have to turn left. You'll just ease right on toward Marshall, but I haven't seen the final plans there. But yeah, that will be an important replacement project. On surplus property, you have a bid that's been submitted for lots 101 and 101B in Scenic Wolf. It's about 1.4 acres. Tax value of $168,809. The taxes owed are at foreclosure were $20,688.70, and we bought it for $28,258, and the offer is for $3,000. We can't pay.
You can't sell it to the taxpayer.
Okay.
That's the only limitation. If it's not the taxpayer, you can consider any offer.
That's yours for y'all's consideration to accept, reject, or counter. And begin an upset period if you accept.
Mr. Attorney, is it possible that we discuss this in closed session?
You can discuss one issue of it relative to what the law is about selling it to it being the taxpayer. But as far as whether or not you want, that's the only issue you can discuss in closed session.
Okay.
So if that doesn't resolve it, then you can come back out and address the balance of your concerns in public session.
Okay.
What are the wishes of the board? Do we wish to counter that offer? Not accept it. Chair will entertain motions.
Is this individual who bid on it, are they associated with the original taxpayer?
Not to where we're at.
Okay.
It's awful low. I don't have a problem starting the upset bid process. Buying something for $3,000 and the county's bid was $28,258.
In that same development, you see the note there, where it was a little bit smaller lot that we accepted the offer on, for a little bit more money. So,
Well, if we go back with a counter offer based somewhat on the previous sale of the other lot, close to that within money and size, is that something the board would want to do?
that's what I was thinking.
Wouldn't we be better off to go through the upset bid process than to counter? Because if you counter, we've already set our high mark.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we can ultimately reject the upset bid process at the ending, if we don't like where it ends up.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
best
good.
way to go.
I like that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. If we counter offer, then we're setting a precedence of a take it price,
Mhm.
where if we don't upset bid, we still can reject it.
Right.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Do we have a motion, gentlemen?
So moved.
Move
Second.
to put it into the upset process. Motion by Commissioner Rice, second by Commissioner Weckel. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Next, following up on your June special meeting at the end of the month and request from AV Tech for $44,000 for improvement to the welding shop. The vote, of course, ended up being tied, but the discussion from you all, many of you seem to have a very similar opinion about the way the issue was portrayed and sort of what was being requested. So at the chairman's request, I drafted a letter to AV Tech leadership. It's in front of y'all for your review. regardless of how you proceed.
Where is that? His hand in there. I didn't get it. Got it right here.
I think it's a good letter. All right.
I think you accurately summarized our concerns, so.
Well, with the amount of money they're requesting, I understand what it's for, and, you know, the welding shop would be based on the line of we're all in support of economic development, and economic development would include the training here in the county for some of our students to get the welding and have the welding degree and possibly start their own business or work here in the county. So, I mean, it's a situation that it's got its pros and it's got its cons when it comes to, you know, what's the good part, what's the negative. The negatives, you know, could be the amount of money. It could be issues we have with the school itself as far as the presentation that was brought before us. I feel like it, you know, AB Tech serves a wonderful purpose here in the county. We have a lot of students in our early college program that go on to AB Tech and graduate. And sitting here in this building today that's provided through AB Tech, it's helped our county tremendously. And, you know, that's
not the point.
I know it's not the point, but the point is, on my view of it is, I support anything that will help our students, will help the education here in the county.
Well, I didn't want to get started on this AB Tech deal tonight, but I've got to say 2 or 3 things. First of all, who's going to do this? We don't know who's going to do the upgrades. We don't know why it's just amount of money. We're in the dark. We don't know who decides who does this. And, you know, it's just good to know. Why would it cost that much money to do to start with? I mean, you just go on. And they've got $5.5 million in bond money. It's not their money as far as sales tax. But if it was the sales tax money, they get, we spend 80% of their money up there. So, you know, it just needs to be explained why they want this certain amount of money and who decides on who's going to do the work, why it's this expensive, why they won't do it with, I just think that AB Tech's got the money to do everything that needs to be done to this building to take care of it. And it's not right for the taxpayers of Madison County to have to come up with this extra money when they've got this pile of money there that they can take care of this with. That's my opinion. I didn't want to get started on it, but I had to bring that out.
Forrest, would it be, I mean, if we have a lot of questions and concerns about this, could we bring AB Tech representatives back in for a meeting?
Good.
Okay.
I would like to see what their reaction is to this letter before we, I mean, we voted in a work session. We all know how each of us voted. We all know pretty much how we all feel. And we all support our opinions. But in light of that, I agree with Commissioner Briggs. They got $5.1 million and they gave us 10% of that, about $500,000. you know, I don't have as big a problem with the $40,000 as I do the $90,000 in gutters for the front of this building. $90,000 gutters. Got a real problem with that. And I'd like to see a reaction to this letter before we vote. Again, that's my personal opinion.
Well, upon the conversation that we had before, I asked Forrest to develop a correspondence that properly represented that discussion.
That's a good letter.
And I will concur. I think it does a good job of summarizing. I also very firmly believe that we need good jobs in Madison County. I think everybody knows where I stand on that and the reason I support it. But also good reason and common sense, we need to look at the big picture. And I like Wayne's suggestion, also having them come back before us again after a review of the letter, because we do need to work together. It is in our mutual best interest for AB Tech and Madison County to work together and to get the answers for these questions and future answers so that we can, because the opportunities for us to expand here and to bring more services to Madison County are way beyond this particular issue and will require the cooperation of the folks in Madison County, the cooperation of this and future boards of commissioners. And we need to be working together. And I think this is a window of opportunity for us to come together. So as strongly as I support the welding program and think we need to expedite that among the very first things that we do here when we start moving forward, I am fine with the letter. Fine with including with the letter that after their review that they arrange with Forrest at our earliest possible convenience, possibly our next work session, if that would be cooperative with them. All right. And I'll actually make that in the form of a motion.
I'd like to have them come to I personally would rather they come to a regular meeting
That well,
than a work session, because we have smaller crowd participation. And I want the people of the county to be here to hear and see what they say.
Also, it will be a matter of
Sure.
Yeah, I will be happy to amend
Thank
for
you.
that. Okay. Any other discussions?
I agree
Comments?
with having them come.
Does anyone have any revisions to the letter? It is prepared for signatures of all of us. It is a letter, of course, it'll be part of the record, and it does bear the signatures of all members of the commission. Does anyone have a problem signing the letter?
No.
Okay. So my motion would be that we forward the letter signed. We request that Forrest request that they attend at the next regular board meeting.
Yes.
Okay. That is my motion.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Brigman. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, Forrest. The letter is well done.
Next, you have a resolution after some informal discussion from a couple of you after your last meeting about cellular telephone service in Laurel Fire District. Some background on that, other than there's not good cell service, is that I think US Cellular, when considering building a tower, had kind of said, well, we want letters from local and regional officials. So about 2 years ago, in 2014, there were letters sent from Chairman Brigman at the time on behalf of the county. The sheriff sent a letter, the 911 director, emergency management director. Michelle Fresnel sent a letter. And with US Cellular, they don't answer to that sort of thing necessarily. So at this point, it was suggested by Commissioner Wetzel to proceed with perhaps a formal resolution encouraging our federal elected officials who have something to do with the Federal Communications Commission that regulates that sort of thing, and try to engage their support.
Well, I put a lot of work into this in 2014 and trying to get it approved and get it done. I went over there and met with several people and discussed it with people trying to find property to put the tower on. That seemed to be an issue at the time, was a location. We were able to find a location. And after that, US Cellular went to Hot Springs and wanted to put one in Hot Springs. And as you know, they put in a temporary one there at the school. And they had it set up there for quite some time. They didn't go back to Laurel because of the cost involved versus the revenue that it produced. I talked with Mr. Chandler several times, and I've talked to him just within the last week, and he said it's over $1 million to put the tower up there, and that if they could get someone to donate the land and get government assistance of at least 500,000 of that, they would consider it. I didn't get a commitment, but they said they would consider it if that was done. I understand the resolution, but is the resolution is calling it out that no visible movement toward constructing additional towers in the community. Well, there was a lot of movement toward that, but it's US Cellular's choice to build it or not. So that's a situation there that, I've talked to them, I've met with them, went over there. I don't know what else to do. They did get one for Spring Creek rather quickly because they use the tower that is privately owned now on private property, which used to be the railroad, and they rented spots on that tower for Spring Creek. That is how that came about so quickly. I know there were some people on Laurel thinking that they got dropped because of that one, but that wasn't an issue.
It is a business, private business.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand the need for the service over there. They have quite a few people over there that don't have cell service. You have, the Appalachian Trail running through part of that area too. So I understand the importance of that. But
will this location take care of the trail? This location of the tower, it's on Viking Mountain, right?
oh, I don't know.
Isn't that what we said the other?
Yeah, I don't think we're not trying to dictate where they put it, but.
I understood
yeah,
there was
but
already a road and everything in.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And the chief, but the fire chief out there seems to think that would definitely help tremendously with the search and rescue efforts on the trail.
Well, Viking Mountain's in Tennessee. So is this resolution here we're trying to propose at Madison County something that we should be looking at Greene County, Tennessee?
I'm not familiar that it's Viking Mountain. That's the conclusion that came up in our discussion, but that's not what the fire chief specifically stated to me.
Okay.
So.
And the resolution doesn't speak to
No,
specific.
no.
Yeah, we're not trying to dictate where they
Where
put
it
it.
goes.
We're just asking them to consider finishing what they started out there.
Well, and in all fairness, no single tower will cover all of Laurel.
No.
No, the topography would require multiple towers to provide even reasonably good service.
But if the resolution helps,
Yeah.
that'd be good too.
And we appreciate all the efforts of the past and the efforts of the present, but I think we need to promote the efforts of the present and the future. Yeah. So the chair will entertain a motion relative to support of the increased cellular telephone service on the Laurel Fire District.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Rice,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wetzel. Any additional discussion? All those in favor, please let me know by raising your right hand. Thank you again, Forrest. Well done.
Next, you have board appointments. Mountain Area Workforce Development Board, you have 2 private sector reappointments, Sandy West and Jonathan Such, 2-year terms. Then you have Board of Adjustment. It's actually the Mars Hill Board of Adjustment for their ETJ or extraterritorial jurisdiction. The commissioners appoint those 2 representatives. Current members are Clayton Willis and AC Honeycutt. And then you have 2 vacancies on the Nursing Adult Home Community Care Advisory Board.
Regarding the Board of Adjustment, AC, I know Clayton is willing to serve again. Well,
Yes.
Did AC Willis not respond?
Did not return.
Okay.
Yeah, did not. Yeah.
We have an application for someone who's interested in being on the Board of Adjustment. And we also have, whoever drummed it up, thank you, had an application for the Nursing Adult Home Care Advisory Board.
Yes.
And I've got an individual that I'm still working on to try and round out that as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully by next meeting, I'll know.
Okay. Well, the chair will move that we approve the 2 recommendations from Nathan Ramsey, being Jonathan Such and Sandy West, to continue. That Clayton Willis, who has also agreed to continue, and that we ask Larry Reese, who has agreed to serve, to fill the vacancy, and Elmer J. Skip Dickens, who has moved through the application process.
And Mr. Dickens is for which board?
Nursing Adult Home Care.
Right. He is a retired PhD, lives in the
Do
community.
y'all know if Mr. Reese lives in the ETJ? I don't think he does.
Yeah, they don't.
Down Lambert's Valley Street.
3041 Valley Street.
That's in town.
Valley Street's in Salem.
It's off Mountain View.
Yeah.
That area.
It is.
Yeah.
He would not be eligible for that particular.
Okay, good point.
Okay.
Good point. We will have to withdraw that. I will withdraw that from my motion. Okay.
Is it
Thank you,
easier if we
Forrest.
do them all in one, Amanda, or would you prefer to have them broken out?
I can do them as a slate. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Forrest, for catching that. All right,
I'll second the amended motion.
motion seconded by Commissioner Wetzel. Are there any other discussions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Thank you again, Amanda, for all your work to make this process easier than it used to be. Much easier than it used to be.
So on the Board of Adjustment, that open position for AC Honeycutts, they need to live in the,
Within 1 mile of
Okay.
city limits.
We can continue to try to make contact with Mr. Honeycutt.
Mhm.
And he may, you know, he may just be out of town for a few weeks. But even if you want, it's y'all's decision either way, so just think somebody who's within a mile.
And I would not want to, arbitrarily reappoint him until we know for sure that's what he wants to do.
Okay.
We historically did enough of that in the past that didn't work out. Okay. All right, Mr. Forrest.
All right, you have the add-on item.
All right.
I think this will be our item 8E, I guess. Back in 2015, you all approved a lease. Klipp and Metcalf, who owns property across the creek from the Greater Ivy Community Center, is doing a stream restoration project. They some erosion issues, major issues that impact our property and his property. We're the two biggest fronting property owners, and then two other property owners. He has secured federal funding to do a restoration project, but he has to have a lease from each landowner to allow them to get on there and get in there and do what they need to do. You all had approved that back in November or December of 2015, but right as that happened, somebody with the federal or state, I'm not sure who was in charge, they retired, and it took them 3 or 6 months to replace that person, so they need an extension. And the proposal is to extend through September 30th of 2020. It's currently supposed to expire 9/30/17. Work hasn't started, and all you'll be doing tonight is voting to advertise the notice that you intend to enter into that lease.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go ahead and enforce this notice of intent to authorize the lease for publication.
Motion by Commissioner Brigham. Second by Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right.
Thank you.
Any other items? All right, ladies and gentlemen, under State Statute 143-318-11, we will take a motion to go to a closed session for personnel, real estate, and economic development. Motion by Commissioner Brigham, seconded by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in closed session. We will be meeting to the right tonight in the small classroom. The wax is still wet down the hall.
Is it really?
And I will get shot if they track those floors.
That doesn't affect us if he gets shot.